I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. And this is This Week
in Cruton.
It's This Week in Recruiting, as the video plays, with Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete, our recruiting analyst. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter, Next Level D1. Powers, Happy New Year, my man. This is the first time we've talked in 2021. It feels like we're talking in the future.
Happy New Year to y'all as well. This is awesome. Back on Zoom. I can't wait to get back into the studio. But great to be here today and great to talk a little bit of football. The state championships are coming, y'all, really quick. State semifinals, then the state championships for 5A and 6A. It's a great time to be a football fan with these extra weeks of high school football going on.
We've got 12 more Texas high school football games to go, and they are all massive, massive. And I know you will have your eye on them from the recruiting world with your coverage at texasfootball.com/recruiting. Let's get to this week's notebook. Let's start with our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise, we're going down to the Golden Triangle, to Beaumont United, with their 2022 athlete Chandler Rivers. This is a guy who is starting to pop on people's radar. And he's already got some offers from Power 5 places like Ole Miss, like Colorado, like Mizzou. He's got some big-time in-state offers from places like Houston, etc. This is a guy you think that we could see his recruitment heat up pretty quick.
Well, this is a fun one for me to talk about because, you know, we work really hard to put together these lists that go not only on texasfootball.com/recruiting where you can see all the recruiting rankings and all that stuff, but we work really hard on, the DCTF Rising magazine to put together top 300, top 100 list, etc. Looking back at the tape, a guy who didn't make it into the magazine that I now like watching it, I was like, oh, how did you miss this guy, Greg, is Chandler Rivers. So I wanted to take some time to talk about his skill set and kind of profile him a little bit more thoroughly on the site because he's one of these guys who literally can do anything he wants on a football field. All three phases of the game, offense, defense, special teams. Chandler Rivers is a really special football player, and I missed him. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how you can't always be right all the time when you're talking about recruiting. So I think that's a fun fact.
He's a guy to keep an eye on, and a guy who's I think that when you watch his film, he's got that blend of speed and physicality that I know that playmakers or that people are going to like. This is a guy that I think that from an athlete perspective, he could do a little bit of everything. Excited to see where he ends up. Let's now move on to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week is a bit of a surprise. Let's go to 2021. Dallas Skyline wide receiver QuayDarius Davis is a guy who had big offers from all over the place. He's the number 27 prospect in Dave Campbell's Texas Football's Hot 100, number 4 ranked receiver in the state. He had offers everywhere, okay? The biggest ones that he was really considering, Ole Miss, USC, Oklahoma State. Powers.
What was he thinking?
QuayDarius Davis is going to Kansas. That is quite a scoop up for Les Miles and company.
And we've talked about him here before. You'll recall he was at one time committed to Texas, backed off of that commitment, committed to USC. So this is his third commitment within the recruiting process. But for me, it's not a huge surprise from this standpoint. Emmett Jones, coach at Dallas Skyline, coach at South Oak Cliff. He's a recruiting powerhouse in the Dallas area, builds great relationships with prospects, top prospects, whether the Jayhawks get them or not. Emmett Jones is a player for many of these guys in this part of the country, and he's going to come after, especially in the DFW, the top tier talent. And here it's paid off in a big way with QuayDarius Davis.
Yeah, I think that we talk a lot about relationships. We talk a lot about how important it is to load up with guys who know the Texas high school football landscape. And here's a guy with Emmett Jones, an assistant coach there at Kansas, who is he's obviously critical to their success because of his connections not just to Texas. And I'll even zoom in, not just DFW, but this seems like it's tailor-made for a guy like Emmett Jones because of his close ties to Dallas ISD proper. That seems like whenever you narrow it down and get that granular on it, it's easy to see, oh, yeah, okay, this feels like the exact reason. QuayDarius Davis feels like the exact reason why a guy like Emmett Jones continues to find success on coaching staffs.
I agree 100%. And they're going to get a guy who can really, I think, dominate in the Big 12 if he's given the correct opportunity. He has like this swagger about him that he's not afraid to compete and go up and make the terrific catches look easy. He's a very competitive guy. And once he's given the chance to shine, I think he is really going to. And as a matter of fact, he stepped up and had a better senior year than a junior year. He had over 800 yards this season.
May I offer up something, too? Maybe something that we never think about. Maybe something academically pulled him there, too.
Sure.
I mean, he is, realistically, you're going to college for school, too, so that also could be something.
Most certainly. Something to keep an eye on there.
Nice point, Pickle.
As QuayDarius Davis is heading to Kansas. We're talking with Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete, here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. All right, let's go to our underclassmen of the week. Our underclassmen of the week, we don't talk a ton about Denton Ryan, so let's talk about Denton Ryan. All the playmakers they've got. Hey, guess what? They've got a pretty good sophomore too. Their linebacker Anthony Hill is a guy that I think he's already one of the top prospects in the class of 2023. And his big game that he had in their big win over Highland Park is only going to spark his recruitment. Anthony Hill seems like he may be the next big thing for Denton Ryan.
Yeah, that defense is really special, and I think Anthony Hill made it even better because you're talking about him joining up with a few guys there, not only linebacker in the defensive secondary up front with a really powerful defensive line to give them the complete package. It's my belief that defense could win them a state championship this year. They've always been a really talented team on both sides of the football, but this year to me, with the emergence of Anthony Hill, bear in mind, Anthony emerged before he even stepped on the field really as a varsity player. He picked up some big-time P5 offers before that. But now he's backed that up with varsity tape, and that's why you see these huge schools in hot pursuit of him. You're talking, Texas, Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State. They've all offered him, and that's for a reason because he's one of the top talents in the entire country.
A guy certainly keep an eye on Anthony Hill as you're watching them take on Mansfield Summit this week in the state semifinal. Keep an eye on the 2023 linebacker Anthony Hill. Let's round it all out with our recruit of the week. Our recruit of the week, we're going down to the Houston area, class of 2022. Kelvin Banks at Humble Summer Creek, the big offensive tackle, 6'5", 300 pounds. This is a guy who is one of the most heavily pursued offensive tackles in the nation. And now he gets the seal of approval from Greg Powers, as he has been given. He's the second prospect in the class of 2022 to get the Dave Campbell's Texas Football 5-star status. Obviously, a lot of talent in the class of 2022, but I know you reserve those 5-star rankings for a very, very select few. What is it about Kelvin Banks that you feel like is deserving of that 5th star?
Well, there's only going to be 5 of them, right? Mm-hmm. So by the end of the day, there'll be 5 5-star prospects in that class. Kelvin Banks, to me, epitomizes what I'm kind of looking for in a 5-star prospect. He can play any position up front on the offensive line. He has a very high ceiling as a prospect and has the look of a true left tackle. He reminds me a lot of former 5-star from Allen, Greg Little. So that's kind of a comparison, I think. Greg's playing now in the NFL for the Carolina Panthers. So he's just a big-time guy, and it's no surprise to see everybody chasing him. And, of course, he was the O-line MVP, the Next Level Athlete, Texas Top 100 showcase.
I was going to say, when we saw him there, too, the speed of his feet for being as big as he is it's really impressive. Powers and I sat there and watched him, and we're like, this kid's special. And
you were looking at what was probably a 15-year-old kid at that point, Ashley. Mm-hmm. So, just think about how he's grown and matured and what he's going to be in a couple of years and what he could be once he enters into that college strength and conditioning program. This was a hotly contested spot. He joins Quinn Ewers as the number 2 5-star so far in that class, or the first 2 that we've selected. But you have guys out there like Jadon Blue at Klein Kane who has offers from everybody. Denver Harris at North Shore is a really good player who's in the 5-star race. Brennan Thompson at Spearman. But I think that Kelvin Banks is a safe bet to be one of those guys who not only stars in college but has a chance to be selected highly in the NFL draft one day.
Mm-hmm. He's Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1. And, of course, see his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Powers, appreciate your time, my friend. Same bat time, same bat channel next week, huh?